Hey, how's it going, everybody? I hope everybody's well out there. Yeah, just thought to do a very quickie vloggy thingy. um, yeah, obviously the last vlog I did was my special TFN vlog, which I did beginning of this week since coming home last weekend. Um, Today's the last day of my week off holiday. I apologise. I was wanting to do a little bit more uploading, but I've just been relaxing basically. I've got no excuse really. I've just been relaxing while I've got the time to myself. Been getting back into my gaming again. I've been playing a little bit of Cyberpunk 2077. I've literally neglected that game completely for months, maybe about 2 or 3 months. So yeah, I've played a little bit further on that game, so quite happy to get back into that. Um, and I've been kind of catching up with stuff on TV as well. I've been doing a bit of a movie marathon recently of the Fast and Furious films as well. I want to, even though I know exactly what happens, I know the chronological order of the films, not release order, the chronological order. Some people seem to still, well, end of the day, it doesn't really matter if people watch the films in release order, it's still fine. But with the way things are in the story, when Fast and Furious came back with Fast and Furious 4 onwards, it kind of changes the timeline a little bit, especially the release order. It kind of messes up the release order of the films. So basically, long story short, to make it simple, very quick, is well, I've watched up to Fast and Furious 7. I've got two more films, 8 and 9, to watch. And then obviously Fast 10 is coming out in about 2 months' time. In June, I think it's out. So I'll be going to see it. I'm just trying to refresh my brain around the films and just make sure I haven't missed anything in particular. I don't think I have. Um, but obviously Fast 10 is going to be the final film of the actual main timeline films. There will be spin-offs. I know there's going to be a Hobbs and Shaw 2, I believe, or whether it's not going to happen anymore because the whole issue with Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel. I know there was a bit of drama, on-set drama, mostly because of the spin-off of Hobbs and Shaw. Apparently Vin Diesel didn't like the idea that they were giving their own spin-off and that it can't. I think Vin Diesel felt it took away what Fast and Furious was about, which was about the main story timeline of them characters. And the fact that Dwayne Johnson comes into it and Jason Statham comes into it, and all of a sudden they're just giving their own film. To be honest, I really like Hobbs and Shaw personally, and a lot of Fast and Furious fans do. As a standalone film, it does actually hold up quite well. It's not really Fast and Furious, but they're both, even though there is cars and cars involved in the film, but it is pretty much just yeah, it's a spin off, so it does feel slightly different to what the other Fast and Furious films are like. Uh, Obviously, it doesn't have the underground racing stuff like the Fast and Furious films were more based upon. It's just a full-on action flick, really. Um, but anyway, yeah, the timeline I was going to say about, yeah, the timeline, the actual chronological order of the films is obviously Fast and Furious, the Fast and Furious, which is the original one, like the original, then Too Fast, Too Furious. Then it's you bypass Tokyo Drift. I know that sounds weird because obviously Tokyo Drift is the third film to be released physically, but you bypass that film and you go straight to Fast and Furious 4, which was released it's just called Fast and Furious. It was released in 2009. So if you go on the release of the movie, the year of release, then you know that's the film. So you basically go original, Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast 4, essentially Fast and Furious 2009, 5, Fast Furious 5. Then you watch Fast and Furious 6. So it's 4, 5, and 6 back to back. Then Tokyo Drift. And then after Tokyo Drift, you watch Fast and Furious 7, 8, and 9. That's the order, chronological order, if you want to understand the story. If you don't watch it in that order, it does get a bit confusing because certain characters come back and you're like, wait a minute, I thought he died. So if you watch it in order, and some of the films have post-credit scenes as well. So you've got to watch past the credits as well because some of the films have additional scenes which actually go into the next film. Like basically, for instance, when what happens in Tokyo Drift with Han when he gets killed, or you think he gets killed. The think it was it Fast Five or Fast? It was no, I think it was either Fast Five or Fast Six. There was like an end credit scene, and it basically introduces Jason Statham's character as the person who was supposed to have killed Han. And then later on, Han miraculously comes back from the dead. And yeah, so it gets a little bit confusing. Certain characters come back that are supposed to have died, and so on. So it's kind of like, yeah. So if you watch it in release order, you're not really going to understand what the hell's gone on. I understand as well. I've had a conversation as well with people about Fast and Furious films that it doesn't make any sense because all the actors are a lot older, and you can tell it doesn't really hold up well because obviously the actors have naturally got older because time has gone by. However, there is a thing for that. If you are an avid Fast and Furious fan like I am, that have been following the films ever since they started, like I have, you will understand there is time jumps. Each film is not literally. Each film happens after a couple of years. It's a little bit like for anyone out there that's an anime fan, for instance. Anybody there familiar with Dragon Ball Z? There's points. I know this is not Fast and Furious Dragon Ball Z, but I'm just using this I'm just using Dragon Ball Z as an example. Basically, in between arcs, major arcs, there is time jumps. So basically, for instance, you get like the Saiyan arc, and then it goes into the Vegeta arc, which is obviously him fighting Vegeta, evil Vegeta, or original Vegeta, before he becomes like an ally to Goku and everybody. So basically you got the Saiyan arc, essentially the Vegeta arc as well. Then there's like a bit of a time gap where they travel to Namek, and then that's now the Frieza arc. And then in between the Freezer arc and then the next arc, which is the Cell arc, there's obviously you've got the Android arc as well in between there as well. So yeah, you've got multiple arcs, but there is time jumps because obviously you can go on time jumps mostly with Gohan, because in between each arc he grows up. Because obviously at the beginning, Gohan is just a child, like about 5 years old, 4 or 5 I think he is at the beginning, and then by the time you go into like the Freezer arc, I think he's a couple of years older, maybe a year or two older, and then once you get to the Freezer arc, the Cell arc, he's a teenager, so he's probably about 13, 14, and then you get to the Buu arc, and he is now adult Gohan. So that you can see there is a significant jump in time. in between acts. With Fast and Furious, it's not that much different. Because obviously you can, like Paul Walker's character, he has a child with Mia, and then you see later on that the child has actually grown up and he's now a toddler. Things of that nature. So that kind of like little snippets and little things like that, you can see there has been at least a couple of year gap between each film. So when you get to the point of Tokyo Drift coming back into it and things like that, like earlier films, characters come back into it from earlier films, you can then justify that they have gotten a bit older. Because by the time you get to Fast 9, there's probably been a mix and match of about 10, maybe roughly about 10-year gap split between each films, if that makes sense. So you could say about that. Because like I say, Dom and everybody, they're not doing jobs every single week or year. It's like significant events happen and they just get pulled out of it again, out of being like in retirement, trying to put it all to bed, sort of thing. They don't want that life anymore. They want to just raise their families, have kids, and they want to kind of just have a healthy, normal life kind of thing. But then they end up, these things happen, these other characters come into it, so that's when the film is set. So yeah, each film is usually set, maybe I'd say maybe a year or two between each film, give or take. So once you get to Fast 9, essentially you're almost at 10-year gap between each film. I'd say that as a guess, but that kind of justifies the accelerated aging with each film you're watching it in chronological order compared to release order. Because watching it in release order, it doesn't really make any sense, really. But then if you watch it in chronological order, it does make a lot more sense because it actually answers a lot of questions. I know Fast 10 is obviously it's going to be split into two parts. So Fast 10 is going to be split into two parts, part 1, part 2, and that is literally the conclusion of the main timeline. So if there is still anything withstanding when it comes to characters and when it comes to the story, it will all finish and hopefully all the I's and all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, hopefully, and it'll be put to bed, the main timeline. I can't see the Fast and Furious franchise finishing at just completely finishing, but I do believe we're probably going to get like additional media, probably get video games based on it. We'll probably might start getting, like I said, there's an animated series as well. I think it's called Spy Racers. I don't like it personally. It kind of takes me out of the whole Fast and Furious thing. It just doesn't feel like Fast and Furious. But yeah, they did the animated series. That essentially is canon because Dom is in it. Dom is actually in Spy Racers, the animated series that's on Netflix. And the young kid main character, he is, I think, related to Dom. I think it's his nephew or something like that. That is not actually in the main timeline, but yet apparently it is canon. It doesn't make much sense, but anyway. So yeah, there's probably going to be other media. There's probably going to be I'm hoping there's going to be a Hobbs and Shaw too. But Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson, they have pretty in-demand actors, so it's working out scheduling for them to make a film together again. That took a bit longer, that explanation. I apologise, but yeah. So what else have I been doing this past week? I've just been relaxing since getting back from TFM Minicon. Obviously yesterday, I had my good friend Smithy around again. Because obviously I didn't see him last weekend because I was in Manchester for Minicon. So this was like so I saw him yesterday. Just Went to go and see the new John Wick film yesterday with Sam and Smithy. That was pretty cool. Really enjoyed John Wick 4. I absolutely love those films. Absolutely love them. Such fucking fun films, and the choreography in the action scenes is just unreal. Really, really is. So yeah, went to go and see John Wick 4. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Fully paid off the holiday for July as well when we was in town, me and Smithy. So the holiday in July going to Spain is completely paid off. So yeah, that's cool. And yeah, came back to man. Had a couple of drinks. Smithy cooked something again to eat for later on. Yeah, yeah, obviously saw Sam yesterday. Sam came round as well this afternoon for a few hours. Just been chilling in the back garden most of the afternoon today, listening to some music and having a couple of cup of teas, cup of tea and that. Just having a bit of a chin wag, a bit of a chill out, because it's been nice weather today. Actually, the weather's been quite nice. Compared to the past couple of days, it's absolutely been pissing it down with rain, and today it was a complete flip reverse. It was actually quite warm. It was actually quite nice and warm. Well, not too warm. I don't like it too warm, but it was nice. It was pleasant. It was a pleasant heat, and there was still a nice breeze as well. So it felt like a proper spring day. Nice clear blue skies and everything as well. So yeah, it was pretty cool to just sit out in the sun and get a little bit of vitamin D and all the good stuff that comes from being in the sun. Well, that kind of thing. I don't get much sun because I don't get much sun because either I'm at work or it's pissing it down with rain. So I don't really get that much sunlight in my life, really. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been up to since TFN Minicon and what I've done. So yeah, the next special vlog, obviously the TFN Minicon vlog. I'm very, very happy with how that's gone down. It's been a very popular reception of all the videos I've done in regards to TFN Minicon since coming home. Very, very happy indeed. I've had some nice responses. I've had comments. I've had the viewership on those videos has done quite well. I don't think many people have actually done anything video-wise for TFN Minicon. I think that's probably why maybe the views on those videos are actually better than I thought they would be. Because with it being a smaller event and not as many regular people that go to TFN Minicon, to the TFN events, there wasn't as many regulars. There was a few, but a couple, but not as many as it would be for the August one. So it was actually kind of, it was very, very quiet. Very, very quiet in regards to people making videos for it. Or since coming home, I haven't really seen anyone make a video about the convention besides myself and my good friend Lawrence. I don't know if anybody else has. I haven't really been on YouTube to check really, but me and Lawrence have made videos at least since we come back. But I like to do it. At the end of the day, this was the very first one-day event TFN put on, and I'm only happy to try and help, kind of promote and try and get the word out a little bit when it comes to information videos, when it comes to upcoming events. I'm very happy to help the guys out because they do a hell of a good job. The vlog I did, it wasn't like the most filled vlog. It was quite a small, simple vlog, but it was only a one-day event, and end of the day, it was a weekend away for me, so I didn't want to be too behind the camera, but at the same time, I wanted to give people a look-see of what it was like for those that didn't go. So people could like see exactly what the dealer room looked like, what the Q&A panel area looked like, what the hotel looked like to a degree as well, for those that might care about that kind of thing. So at least that's what the vlog did, at least, which I'm happy about. But the next holiday for me is Spain. I will be doing a little bit of vlogging while we're away, and then the next special. Then obviously I'll be going away in August as well, which will be actual TF Nation 2023 as well. So yeah, so they're going to be the next two events coming up. I've got nothing else booked yet after that. If anything does crop up, anything does come up in the pipeline, then I will let you know in a future vlog. But at the moment, it's looking like that's probably going to be it for holidays or time away for this year. But yeah, I'll let you know.